Coming up on AgweekTV, the Ag Secretary talks about MFP and the court case ruling on EPA's small refinery exemptions. Farmers were focused on policy, production, and trade at this year's Commodity Classic. We'll talk about the legislative agenda for the wheat industry and look at rebuilding efforts after last winter's barn collapses in Minnesota. Welcome to AgweekTV. I'm Michelle Rook. We're back from San Antonio, Texas, and this week in Omaha, Nebraska at the 54th Annual Triumph of Ag Expo. This is considered one of the largest indoor short-line equipment shows in the Midwest. However, there are still some farmers making decisions for the 2020 crop season, and the more than 500 displays reflect that. They also have daily educational seminars with a wide range of topics, including the weather outlook for planting, which we'll share later in the show. Ag Secretary Sonny Perdue says an announcement is forthcoming from the administration about how the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals decision on small refinery exemptions will impact how those are issued going forward. Perdue says the court ruling came out favorable for the biofuels industry.
The statute said these exemptions had to have been ongoing. Extending an exemption doesn't mean starting a new one. It means extending them. That's what the court case said. So we think it's going to limit the number of small refinery waivers extensively, and we think that's where the policy is heading for the White House.
Perdue says the court decision set a precedent that the Environmental Protection Agency will have to follow. The biofuels industry is already seeing some positive signals of change in the SREs, not only from the rising RIN prices, but EPA Administrator Andrew Wheeler's comments to the Energy and Commerce Committee. Until then, they're waiting for an official response from EPA. The Renewable Fuels Association brought the case, and Robert White says the ruling stated EPA did not have the authority to grant the waivers based on not having consecutive waivers in past years.
That essentially ruled out all but 7 in that year, the court case back in 2016. They used the same methodology in 17 and 18 and now have 19 pending and, of course, 20 right around the corner.
He says they're now waiting to find out if EPA will apply the rule nationally.
If it is something that EPA deems that they need to apply that ruling nationally across all SREs, it could mean billions of gallons moving forward and maybe some retroactively, especially the ones that were specifically mentioned in the case.
Corn growers are hopeful this will stop the waivers that eroded 4 billion gallons of ethanol from the RFS in 2016 to 2018.
Going forward, it gives us a little glimmer of hope that maybe we can stop those or at least reduce the amount of waivers that they have been giving.
He says the waivers should have never been granted according to the RFS statute.
The huge oil companies that had refineries that were blending ethanol got the waivers and they had no reason to show a hardship. They were very profitable companies making money doing this.
Noam says if EPA doesn't stop the SREs, they should at least explain why they were given. While speaking at Commodity Classic, Secretary Perdue also updated farmers on trade. He said because of the technical issues that had been worked out with China on the Phase 1 deal, he was optimistic they would be able to fulfill their purchases under the agreement despite coronavirus. And as a result, he said another MFP payment will not be necessary. AgriPulse's Spencer Chase has details.
Years of a tough farm economy has made attendees of this year's annual Commodity Classic in San Antonio, Texas, able to look at improvements in their operations. But they're not sure if the money will be there to make them happen. Producers from across the country are wondering if another round of the market facilitation program could happen this year, and many were looking to the answer to that question from Ag Secretary Sonny Perdue. But the nation's top ag official didn't exactly tell them to count on it.
I don't believe the market facilitation program was created or instituted as a price support program.
Over the last 2 years, the Trump administration has rolled out more than $28 billion in MFP payments meant to mitigate the impact of a prolonged trade war. This year, Perdue tells reporters he hopes farmers will keep an eye on the markets as they make their planting decisions.
That's what I'm trying to say is that if we go back to export levels that we've seen in the past and prices don't rise, then we need to look at the level of productivity individually and corporately in order to adjust that.
President Donald Trump has said farmers will receive help if trade agreements do not offer increased purchases of U.S. commodities. But Purdue says it's important to note the president said if. Reporting from the Commodity Classic in San Antonio for AgWeek, Spencer Chase, AgriPulse.
American Soybean Association President Bill Gordon is joining us. It has been a big year, coming off a big year for trade for you guys. USMCA, we're past the finish line in the U.S., but Canada still has to ratify it. They're dragging their heels. What's going on?
I think it's just politics up there too, just like it was in the United States. Trying to make sure it's right for them and for their constituents, and just talking through the issues. We have pretty good confidence that they're going to sign it and work with us in Mexico to get this USMCA implemented soon.
So infrastructure, the president has mentioned it, the last 3 State of the Union addresses, but we're in an election year, and will we be able to get anything done as a result?
We don't know, but we need to start the conversation. This is a $1 trillion bill package to get infrastructure. That's not going to happen in a few days. So we need to get that conversation going, depending on what administration is in 2021. We really need to work. It's a bipartisan issue. It doesn't just help one party or the other.
Biodiesel, you did get at least one win with the tax incentive, right?
We did. We got a 5-year extension, retroactive back to 2018, all the way through 2022. Great for the industry. The full $1, we were expecting kind of a ratcheting down effect. We got the full $1, but it really sent a message to the biodiesel industry that they need to get on their feet, we need to get running and get self-sufficient, that I don't know if we're going to get that again.
But biodiesel volumes were not as favorable in the RFS, at least the initial language, right?
Right, and then that's been the problem with the EPA, and they talk about volumes that we can produce, and we're not cranked up to our capacity. The reason we're not cranked up to our capacity is because we can't create demand because they won't help us with RFS. So it's kind of that chicken and egg concept here a little bit, and if EPA would let us go and turn us loose, our factories or our plants can really produce a lot more biodiesel.
Absolutely. Okay, have a great year this year.
All right, thank you,
Appreciate it. That's Bill Gordon, ASA president. Coming up on AgweekTV, we'll look at the legislative agenda for wheat growers in Washington.
When the water's high and your yields are low, 'cause your fields have no place for water to flow, just one call takes care of it all. Call on Field Drainage Incorporated. Call on Field Drainage Incorporated. Call on Field Drainage. The experts in the
Luckin Trucks and Parts sells quality used parts for all makes and models. With over 50 acres of trucks and parts and new inventory arriving daily. Family owned and operated since 1966, Luckin's specializes in the sale of quality used medium to heavy duty truck parts, as well as pre-owned trucks, trailers, and construction equipment. If it's on a truck, we got it. Call us today and let us get you your part.
Small or large, Superior Grain Equipment has a storage solution for you with a wide variety of bin options and accessories, along with site planning and superior customer service. Plus, from top to bottom, we offer the industry's best bins and warranties to protect your products and your grain storage investment. Get superior quality, protection, and reliability with generations of experience and dependability. Make the superior choice today with Superior Grain Equipment.
Ready for more? The new Fendt 900 Vario is impressive on every level. With groundbreaking features, you'll be ready for everyday challenges now and in the future. New smart connectivity solutions make the Fendt 900 series from Butler Machinery an intelligent choice for your farm. We're also proud to carry the Fendt Ideal, a new combine for a new era of farming. Designed to be automated in operation, the Ideal combine is already setting industry standards for efficiency and output. Visit butlermachinery.com to schedule a demo at your operation.
When you think about it, productivity starts at planting. So it's time to rethink how productive your planter can be. We did with the new Case IH 2000 Series Early Riser Planter. We rethought your row unit so it's tougher, more accurate. We rethought your meter, took the most precise technology, factory installed it. We rethought every inch of the Case IH Early Riser Planter to make it the most productive planter around. And if you think about it, that's exactly what you want.
Welcome back. Here to talk about some of the U.S. wheat industry issues is Chandler Gould. He is CEO of the National Association of Wheat Growers. So, what are your legislative priorities here as we get into this Congress or this session?
There has already been some good movement. There was an immigration bill that went out of the House into the Senate. I know a lot of agriculture wants to be supportive of it, but didn't sign on to it because there's some changes they want to that program to make sure that it's actually affordable. So I know they're already working with the Senate to see if we can move that. But also infrastructure. You know, anytime we're heading into a presidential election year or going to move out of one, it has been a long time since we have done any sort of significant investment in our infrastructure there. And so I know the House is already starting to pull a bill together, and they're looking at maybe splitting it into 3 smaller bills, and that's something that we're interested in to see if that will make it easier to get that passed.
Appropriations are also another thing that are going to be worked on right now.
Most definitely. They continue to come from the House and head towards the Senate. And along with the appropriation bill, the bills that we're going to be looking at with transportation and agriculture, but then we've also going to have a legislation to increase the debt ceiling again. So we're actually looking at 2 major fights to make sure we don't look at another government shutdown.
Agriculture had big wins on trade here, end of year, USMCA Japan deal to start the year.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, I'd have to say USMCA for the wheat growers by far was the largest. Mexico in bulk is our largest export market. And then we also got a very significant thing fixed with the Canadian market and industry up there. They were out of compliance with WTO because the wheat that we would send from the US into Canada, even if it was grade A, it automatically got downgraded to feed grade there in Canada. So we got that fixed in USMCA.
So the China Phase 1 deal for wheat, what about that? TRQ for wheat, is China going to fulfill that obligation?
You know, that's definitely our hope. The 9.6 million metric tons is important to our industry. We have not sold any wheat to China in over 2 years, and normally the entire Asian Pacific realm, and China as well, make their tenders for wheat between March and June. So next month, we should start to see if they're going to purchase wheat from the United States.
Thanks so much for joining us. Chandler Gould joining us here, National Association of Wheat Growers CEO. Minnesota farmers are looking at an economic crisis reaching into its 6th year, according to the Land Stewardship Project. LSP data shows that farms are unable to bring in enough income to cover the costs of planting crops and raising livestock. In fact, their data shows median farm income was negative $1,500 in 2018, and 70% of income comes from off-farm sources. Minnesota Ag Commissioner Tom Peterson and Attorney General Keith Ellison met with farmers recently in Mankato to hear how they can help solve the farm crisis. Ellison says small and medium-sized farms need advocates since large corporate and factory farms have a greater voice in forming policy.
Concentrating wealth and concentrating industry has not been to the benefit of our environment, of our customers, of our employees, of our workers, of our farmers. It is not a good thing to be doing. So I'm here to say let's go back to those antitrust principles that made it all more fair.
Peterson said Minnesota has moved into the top 5 states for farm bankruptcies. Coming up on AgweekTV, with spring planting on the horizon, what some farmers are doing to try to harvest last year's corn. And later, how some farms are recovering from last winter's devastating barn collapses.
Steffes Group, selling land and the equipment to farm it since 1960. If you're interested in selling or have questions about our auction process, head to our website at steffesgroup.com to contact us at any one of our 4 locations located throughout the Midwest. You can also visit and subscribe to our YouTube channel to view all of our auction previews and recaps to stay up to date on the market in your area.
When you think about it, productivity starts at planting. So it's time to rethink how productive your planter can be. We did with the new Case IH 2000 Series Early Riser Planter. We rethought your row unit so it's tougher, more accurate. We rethought your meter, took the most precise technology, factory installed it. We rethought every inch of the Case IH Early Riser Planter to make it the most productive planter around. And if you think about it, that's exactly what you want.
When planting season comes around, time is precious and you don't have a moment to waste. This spring, keep your planters rolling with a user-friendly seed tender from North Star Ag. We have seed tenders for every size operation from Meridian, Underfirth, and J&M. North Star Ag also sells a variety of Valmar spreaders, the leader in air boom delivery. Uptime is crucial. Keep your crew in the field longer with a fuel trailer from Thunder Creek. Visit NorthstarAg.com to see our complete new and used inventory or give us a call.
Looking for a crop insurance agent for the 2020 crop year? Call the team at Martinson Ag Risk Management. We do more than just marketing. We have 60 plus years of combined crop insurance experience to provide the service and solutions you need for your farming operation. Call Martinson Ag Risk Management at 701-205-4200. Let's get started on your 2020 policy today.
Make sure your farm equipment is season ready with an uptime inspection from your Titan Machinery service professionals. Titan Machinery's team of Case IH certified technicians has the knowledge and experience to find, correct, and prevent mechanical issues that could shut you down during the season. Your planting and harvest windows are short. For genuine Case IH parts and service, schedule an off-season uptime inspection at Titan Machinery today. Titan Machinery, your local Case IH dealer.
It'll be difficult harvesting corn still trapped in snowy fields left from last year's wet harvest. In this crop stop near Harvey, North Dakota, Mikkel Pates talked with one of the hundreds of farmers struggling to bring in last year's corn crop before the 2020 planting season.
Never seen anything quite like it. Every year's kind of different. We've combined corn in the winter before, but yeah, no year quite like this one, that's for sure.
Sam Ongstead of Harvey, North Dakota says only about 2% of their corn was harvested last fall after a late start last spring.
It was kind of a strange year. We had a fair amount of snow that took a while to melt, so we were got in the field a little bit late. It just kind of went downhill starting in the middle of August. It became a very challenging harvest.
Ongstead put rear-wheel drive on his John Deere 9870 combine last week so he can try to harvest the 800 acres of corn left in the fields.
The non-driving spindles were taken off, and this apparatus was put on new from here on out.
It cost $30,000, but Ongstead hopes it can help him finish the harvest before the planting season.
The good thing is a lot of the water from last fall moved throughout the first half of the winter. That was good to see. That's needed because otherwise the spring flood would be really bad.
Ongstead says after the corn comes off, the planting season will depend on weather. He's hoping they don't see another cold, wet spring, as that would mean some acres may not be planted. Near Harvey, North Dakota, this is Mikkel Pates for AgWeek.
The Ongsteads also grow wheat, soybeans, and pinto beans. How's the weather shaping up for those still trying to harvest those crops? Here's John with our agro-weather outlook.
Weather portion of Ag Week now, the general outlook as we look into the middle part of March, and we're starting to see tornadoes and storm outbreaks across parts of the southern and even central, or at least south central United States. The main rain pattern is still confined to mostly those same areas. It's the southeastern United States, but overall, much of the nation in a warmer than average weather pattern. Let's take a look at the pattern that is causing it. Obviously, some chilly weather moving back into the northern plains this weekend, but a lot of the United States is either fairly mild or actually downright warm, even a little toasty in parts of South Texas. Early in the week, there'll be a brief intrusion of colder weather, cold meaning below freezing highs, down in through North Dakota and much of the Great Lakes area, but that will not last long. And as we go through the week, a little bit of a surge of warmth out of the south. As the cold retreats, we'll be setting up another round of, as you'll see in a moment, some stormy weather across the mid-south and southeastern parts of the United States. By the end of the week, it's not even going to be that cold anywhere in the United States. The cold weather, the below freezing weather, will be largely retreated back into Canada, except for maybe a few spots in the higher elevations of the west. Now, the second week, what we're going to see is not a lot of change in the overall pattern. The south will probably get a little bit warmer, as it will toward mid-March. The Arctic air and the cold weather will continue to retreat, and the general warmer than average temperature pattern is likely to continue through the middle of the month. But with that in mind, the only area getting especially wet and stormy will be the lower and eastern parts of the Corn Belt. But the heaviest of this is going to be the southern part, where it looks very stormy. Now, there will be some snows out in the northern Rockies, rain in the Pacific Northwest, and that will continue into the second week here as we go through middle March. But the wet weather will be in mostly the same areas. Much of the northern plains, maybe not precipitation nitrogen-free, but generally dry.
This is Dennis Belisky reminding you we do auctions and we do them well. You've built your operation with hard work, and when it's time to sell, all or part, you deserve the best. Details from repairs and preparation to promotion and settlements are not routine. Chances are you'll only do this once, so we'll tailor an auction just for you and get it done right. On-site at your farm or added to one of our highly successful Alaris Center auctions, we have the skill, reputation, and integrity to meet your needs with best-in-class commitment and quality service. Find us at resourceauction.com or call 701-757-4015.
Dig, lay, and bury drain tile all in one pass with the Crary Tile Pro Plow. The Crary Tile Pro Plow lays tile up to 7 feet deep with boot sizes of 4 to 12 inches. Advantages of installing drain tile to your field provides increased overall yield, improved soil moisture levels, and controls soil erosion. It pays to tile with a Crary Tile Pro. To locate a dealer near you, visit www.crarytilepro.com.
Dynaflow is the ultimate high-volume water management pump. Whether you're experiencing flooding, emptying sloughs, transferring ponds, or working on irrigation, the Dynaflow pump works in as little as 18 inches of water and is designed to move 3,000 gallons per minute. The Dynaflow lift pump is the perfect upgrade to your drain tile system. Using line shaft turbine pump technology, these pumps are made to last while operating efficiently. Dynaflow drain tile pumps can move up to 1,500 gallons per minute, up to 3,400 feet away.
Mayo Manufacturing, your Red River Valley source for Batco. Mayo Manufacturing, your Red River Valley Batco dealer.
Last winter's heavy snows caused trouble for a number of farmers and others around the region. Many buildings had roofs collapse, but for one family, the problems just kept adding on. In this week's cover story, Noah Fish shows us how the Hoffman family is doing 1 year after problems with their dairy barn.
A year ago was the first time in 116 years that a cow was not milked here. So that was pretty heartbreaking.
Corey Hoffman, along with his brother and dad, have 450 head of cattle in Chatfield, Minnesota. But heavy snow caused the roof to collapse on their dairy barn, killing at least 10 cows. Just days later, a second section of roof collapsed. They were then forced to sell their herd, but friends and neighbors came to the rescue.
We had a huge outpouring of support. I think there was 40 trucks and trailers here and on the road hauling cattle. And within 5 hours, everything was out of here and at a safe home.
But something good did come of it, a new climate-controlled barn. Construction started the 1st of July, and they started milking again by October.
So the cows are a lot healthier and happier. In fact, it never froze in here, even when it was 20 below outside. In the summertime, it's going to be a lot cooler in here than what the previous building was. So our production is better than what it was before.
More than 300 barns collapsed around Minnesota last winter, so the good news is many farmers inspected and reinforced their buildings, and Minnesota lawmakers expanded a zero-interest disaster loan program to help with rebuilding. Near Chatfield, Minnesota, this is Noah Fish for AgWeek.
You can read much more on Noah's cover story in the next AgWeek magazine or at agweek.com. The weather outlook for planting this spring is a mixed bag in the region. A Nebraska climatologist says for March through May, the western Corn Belt is looking at warmer than normal conditions and wetter than normal conditions. She sees a better planting season than a year ago for Nebraska, but not necessarily for states farther north.
Areas to our north, they've got more moisture in the soil. Rivers were running high when things froze up, so the Missouri Basin is quite full now. There's a tendency toward wetter than normal conditions.
The The region also has an elevated flood risk, but she doesn't think it will be near the levels it was in 2019, especially in Nebraska. That's because there is very little snow or frost in the ground. Still ahead on AgWeek TV, some ag innovators are awarded for their groundbreaking work.
AgWeek brings you timely agriculture news from field to fork in digital, print, and television. Fresh every week, join Jenny Schlecht from the AgWeek editorial team and me, Al Windmill, from the sales and marketing team for a deeper dive into farm and ranch stories, along with guest interviews with personalities from the world of agriculture. If you're involved in farming, ranching, or agribusiness, the AgWeek podcast is the show for you.
Where do you go for the latest news in agriculture? AgWeek magazine. Reaching over 70,000 farmers and ranchers in North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, and Montana. AgWeek provides the most up-to-date information on the markets, the trends, and the people who make it all happen. We're your source for news, not fluff. Dependable, trusted. AgWeek. Subscribe today by calling 1-800-811-2580.
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to SaveTheFood.com.
I'm Jenny Garth, and as a mother of 3, I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. But here in America, that is a real worry for 1 in 5 children. Even though we are one of the most food-rich countries in the world, 15 million children don't know where their next meal is coming from. This is unacceptable, and something the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks is working to solve. Instead of accepting that our country lets billions of pounds of surplus food go to waste every year, Feeding America has made it their mission to help families in need by rescuing this food. Through food pantries and meal programs, the nationwide network of food banks provides more than 3 billion meals, serving virtually every community in the United States, including yours. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank by visiting feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
The 3rd annual Davidson Prize for Ag Innovations was announced at Commodity Classic. The prize celebrates breakthrough ideas in ag, food, and biological systems engineering. One of 3 winners is Ag Industry Electronics Foundation for its Tractor Implement Management System, or TIM. GM Norbert Schlingmann says it automates the baling process.
We developed the systems during the last 5 years, and we hope that this year the first implements and tractors will be launched.
The other winners were John Deere for its Quick Connect system and Smart Guided Systems for its Intelligent Spray Control system. The prize is named for J.B. Davidson, who is considered the father of modern ag engineering. Thanks for watching this week's edition of AgWeek TV. Remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. We'll see you next week.